My first point is that travel is coming back, right? As a reminder here, for every survey or opinion you hear, it's never just one thing, right? It's never just one story. It's often an agenda in one direction. It could be politicized or monetized. Take Bill's favorite country, US, for an example. Travel's back, beaches are loaded, road travel is growing. The past few weeks, we've been reporting submarkets doing really well, all while the country's in the middle of an historically epic political and ideological crisis and ever-increasing COVID caseloads. A bit of a problem. But those polarizing sides are playing a part here in Asia as well, but to a smaller degree. China's up to 60% of normal demand, doing really well after many months of going above. Large variations across ASEAN and Pacific, Australia and New Zealand starting to pick up domestic regionally, like Vietnam. But isn't it nice then to be able to talk about Thailand today? No new cases, curfew lifted, you can have a drink in a restaurant and make that a hotel restaurant, right? But I will get to our forecast, and the theme of that frame is the question, with what should you compare? And the importance of establishing a revised baseline and how you get there. So the quick backdrop is, we came into this is 3 years, and you look at the occupancy levels there by quarters. Those barns aren't screaming Ramones as in, hey ho, let's go. Mostly declines and not that insignificant. Factors like, supply and source market shifts have done that. Next slide will show you the rates, and it's kind of similar. So quarters over the last few years have been either flat or declining. So we reached a little bit of a peak and a high watermark level, and that was not 2019, which is what some people are saying at some time. So to continue this wonderfully uplifting start, we report on the numbers, and this is my neutral voice. For perspective, let's look at the darkest months we could find. It's always darkest before it's dawn, right? So 2003, 9, 10, and 14, we were down at 30, 40%, at least below 50. So when we sat there in January at 75, you obviously saw, and now we're at the lowest we've ever seen. And if you look at the curve there at the end, April down there, and we're single digits, what we're looking at for June, a slight increase from May as well, right? So it is obviously something that we haven't seen before in any market. And if we zoom in then on the last 45 days, just to have a closer look at that, we go, the last couple of weeks looks pretty good. We got an upwards trend. And then I show you the scale, and you're not interested anymore because it's really low and it's kind of disgusting. It is what it is for now. So we're more interested in looking for when it comes. So with the curfew opening up and everything going, we're super interested in the last 2 weeks of June and July, of course, right? So we'll see what happens. Now we get to the end of the short stick, the forecasting here on Bangkok. It will take time, a lot of time. So even if you can't compare everything with GFC, you can apply the method of similar logic, and given the gravity of the current situation, just consider that it took 4 years to recover pre-GFC occupancy, 10 years for ADR with all the supply and other factors. And this crisis cut a deeper wound than ever before. So all of you who've become really good at math because you had kids during lockdown and you did online learning, very easy for you. It sets up the rationale for my forecast. If you had 78% for occupancy, annualized basis, you had that, and you drop 46%. You'll land at 42%, okay? Hopefully you're with me, Eric as well. But then by next year, in 2021, you grow by 40%. That's a lot, that's a big increase, 40%. What does that leave you? Below 60%. So just by very simple math, it's a far cry from the 78%, and that comeback spurt of 40%, that's the biggest you will see, and then it goes slow from there. So bear that in mind as I show you this. We plot out 2019 and a little bit of the growth and the dip we saw. Now, our forecast, if it continues to hope with the recovery, with medical and business coming in the way we see it now, will be nice uplift this year, but then it starts going flattish in 2021 and continues into 22 and onwards. Where does it leave you? Well, a lot lower when we started. So hopefully that's clear, Len. And I think I want to be very clear because it sounds harsh when I say 2019 levels, we're not going to see them in 5 years from now. Now, if you disagree with our methodology and our outcome, that's great, especially if you're more optimistic. I hope it is, but I feel we're realistic. And that's also why we believe it's more important to reframe the conversation. So don't say, when will I have 2019 levels again? Instead, look at, when will I have these levels that are fair and reasonable for the owner and operator to agree, and how the hell will I get there? That's more interesting than comparing to when do I see 2019. So where does it leave us? Occupancy is very likely to come back before ADR. Happened before, happened in most markets. I would see it in Bangkok as well. Domestic business is what it is, and other speakers today will talk more about how big that is and what it is. It is limited. Thailand needs the inbound flights, short and long haul. which means that it has potential for rate wars and discounting. Absolutely. Just putting it out there. Flights, right? Will airlines be back to normal regional demand at one stage? The eminent Charlie Blocker will talk about this straight after me, so you get about the flights as well. But the confidence is not there yet for flights into from long haul. December, January, marginal surge, minimal bookings going on. And it's the same with the business on the books for hotels. Marginal, nothing really to write home about. Which hotel kind will reboot faster? Big question, we get it often, depends on markets. And you can argue, because they emerge differently. You have tighter belts, less wealth on the horizon coming out. First, I mean, it's an occupancy challenge game moving forward. So if you have a high ADR property, I suppose you could say, I will hit the stride earlier. I control my costs. I just need a little bit of occupancy on demand coming. But economy and mid-scale, particularly select service, who has tightened the belt, has so far in those countries that are out of it come out faster because, you know, fewer tourists, it works well domestically, no F&B to consider. So, and we have to remember that there is a pipeline for Thailand, there is a pipeline for Bangkok that we talked about in January, we talked about before. There are delays all over the world, 3 to 6 months on average, some deferred projects, but a lot of it will still happen. So that will continue to put pressure on next year as well. So more good news. So what is it that we really need? I mean, there's a lot of action items that people can take. And what the learnings from the last 2 to 3 months in this region and in Bangkok, you see properties that have been more aggressive in marketing, that have been more innovative in doing things, having the operational skills and good owner relationships to keep going. Use the creativity, preferably deep pockets, but not everyone has that, right? So I think for me, Bangkok needs to take charge and lead by example, because this is Bangkok, right? It's an amazing market, an amazing city. Use it for domestic, use it for the travel bridges. Step up with those learnings and show not just Thailand, but around the whole region, how to drive sales. And, you know, there is absolutely an opportunity for Bangkok to come back with a vengeance because of the amazing market it is. I think it will, and it's just about the timing. It will take a lot longer than people think. But that's it for me. Let me know for any questions. You can back to us when you have the slides later. Thank you very much, guys.